Go, go. Let's go, please.
I hate when this happens.
Samantha Walsh is a keen basketball player. So is her twin sister Desiree. They play for the Twin City Spinners junior wheelchair basketball team. They're the 1995 Canadian gold medal champions.
Let's go, James. Turn it around.
Both Samantha and Desiree have cerebral palsy. Yet they still water ski. This is one of Samantha's early attempts, captured on family home video. With the help of specially adapted equipment, the twins also scuba dive and snow ski.
I felt that over my dead body was I going to have two children in wheelchairs.
Doctors had told Karen the girls would be fine by the time they were 4. So Karen threw her energy into trying to help them walk. But by the age of 4, nothing had changed, and Karen realized that the doctors were wrong, that the cerebral palsy wasn't going to get any better. But she was still determined that they would walk.
At age of 7, they were about between 65 and 70 pounds, and I was still pushing them in a stroller, a double stroller at that, which made it very difficult for me. And I finally came to terms that these children would probably be better off if they were in a wheelchair and had their own mobility. And I was really sorry after I put them in wheelchairs that I hadn't done it sooner, that I had taken away from their independence. I just felt that, like everyone else, that you had to walk in order to live. I didn't realize that a wheelchair can also be your legs.
For most adolescents, independence is central to their lives. For adolescents with a disability, achieving independence can be especially challenging.
I don't give up easily. Let's put it that way. If there's something I can't do, I try 10 times before I go and ask someone for help. Like, for example, opening a door on the outside. I always grab the door first, swing my chair into it, use the chair as the door stop, grab the door, and then go in. Don't just try like once and say, oh, well, I can't do it. Try like a couple of times. If one approach doesn't work, try something else.
It's this attitude of resourcefulness that is enabling 16-year-old Joshua Kumar to make his own way in the world. He has spastic quadriplegia, a form of cerebral palsy that affects all 4 limbs, causing the muscles to contract tightly and making them feel stiff. Because his muscles don't function in a coordinated way, he can't walk or write. His vision is also affected. In fact, he's close to legally blind. These restrictions have made his schooling a challenge.
Sam Hughes was the minister of the militia.
One of the first hurdles was that the school expected Joshua to hand in written assignments. But typing 4 words a minute, it took him 4 hours every night to complete the notes, finishing at midnight. Then he had to be up at 5 in order to be ready for his special bus at 7:15. He lobbied the school to allow him to use a scribe to take notes for him, but they thought the scribe would be doing the work, so they said no. Joshua organized his case and took it to the school board. It was the first of many issues he learned to fight for.
I organized my own meetings with this, whether it be with the school, the board, or whoever's involved. I've spent like $50 in pay phone calls, believe it or not, just organizing meetings. And in these meetings, I have 1 or more advocates, board officials if necessary, school officials if necessary, and my parents, of course. And what these advocates, for example, OFCP, are to do is I basically tell them what I want to say. They tell me how to say it diplomatically, and I just lay everything out on the table.
Josh got his scribe.
Oh yeah, you know what I forgot? Can you put down this on the calendar?
What's your assignments?
Yeah.
No one has to do.
It's tomorrow. It's a 12th night thing. I have to write Act 5, Scene 2, as I mentioned before.
Okay. So what do you want to put here now?
So, the first part is the narrator.
Narrator. So wait, Act 5.
Independence for young people with a disability means taking responsibility for making decisions about your own life. Josh says it's really no big deal.
You just have to look at your surroundings, see what you have to work with, figure out ways to work with it. You don't have to be a genius. Like, for example, the scribe is, I look at the problem, I say, oh, can't write. What can I do? Because I can't write. My verbal skills are very good, so I can use the tape. That's option number one. The other option is to get someone to write for me, but I actually dictate what they say.
His battle for the scribe won, Joshua then had to contend with his physical therapy requirements, critical to his recovery from 6 consecutive surgeries to straighten severely twisted ankles and knees. The program required several hours of daily exercise at Variety Village, a sport training and fitness center for the disabled. But the school considered it a recreational facility and wouldn't let him incorporate it into the school day. He went to bat for himself on that issue too, and won. His time here now counts towards his phys ed credit at school. He's been making his own decisions, his own doctor's appointments, since he was 12, traveling around the city on his own since he was 6. He says sometimes he feels his parents push him too much.
Like, I kicked and screamed and hollered and did everything I could to stop at first, but then I looked back on it and said, you know, hey, this is why they did it. They have encouraged me to take risks, make mistakes, and learn from my mistakes.
Joshua's parents came to Canada from India to give him a chance for a better life. They taught him from a very early age, and by example, that he had to learn to make his own way.
We worked 2 jobs, 3 jobs at times, each one of us, more my wife than I. And we wanted him to learn from our example that he's here to be productive.
Giving something back to the community is very important to Joshua's family. And in learning to do that, Joshua is learning how to connect with the services that enable him to be productive.
I find that the more I got out there, the better it was. Like, the more used I got to it.
We were too hard on him. I will not deny that. Yes, we were too hard. We were very hard on him, and we will continue to be very hard on him. The only reason is that the world outside is not a soft bed of roses. It's going to be even worse than what we have been. So it's only a preparation for that.
But different parents have different styles. Danielle Speck thinks her parents were a little overprotective.
I fought good times to babysit my brother. I remember that. We fought a lot of books.
Overprotection can make a young person feel dependent and helpless.
And I said, well, you gotta give me a chance, you know, I can't be with babysitters all my, life.
But Danielle eventually found an ally in her mom.
We won't even let her stay on her own in the house.
And stay alone.
Oh, yeah.
They were worried. Something's gonna
We
happen.
were worried. In case of fire, there's no way she'd be able to go out. And so many times, like, her dad was more protected than me. So many times she said, Mom, I want to be home by myself, maybe for hours. So then I said to my husband, I said, well, let's go for a coffee or a donut. And, oh, well, how about Danielle? And I said, well, a neighbor's going to come and look after her. So he goes, okay. And then we come back, he doesn't know. So we have to sort of hide it from him.
Along the way, Anna had been encouraged by Danielle's therapist to push her daughter a little.
And, as I see her, how she washed her hair, it was so hard for her. My heart was so broken, because I can see her. She was trying so hard, and they tell me not to help her, so let her do on her own. So I just sneak and look how she was doing it, but thank God she can do everything now.
The turning point in Danielle's life was a visit to her grandparents in Yugoslavia for a family wedding when she was 16. She persuaded her parents to let her stay on for a few months. The experience came with mixed blessings. Her grandparents lived on a farm and let her help out with chores, and she learned a lot. But then, from neighbors and visitors, there was the never-ending pity.
Like, they look at you and they say, oh, poor Danielle, what's wrong with your legs? How come you can't walk? And my grandpa, to this day, he still asks me, when can you walk with only one cane? It would be better. And they have this, attitude that if you're disabled, maybe you can't do anything. And after a while, I got tired of that attitude, and I said to them, I said, well, I've seen better than me, and I've seen worse, and I just have to accept myself for who I am, and I wish you would do the same.
And when she come back over here, she comes so happy. She said, oh, Mom, I know how to make a coffee now. I said, that's too dangerous. I can do it. I know how. So I let her, and that's how she starts.
Danielle says she is the one who let her parents know when she was ready to try something on her own. She says it was important that the impetus had to come from her, and that included stopping what wasn't working for her, like the endless round of doctors. Anna felt they had to continue exploring every possible avenue to see if something could be done.
Then I finally realized that, hey, all these doctors and everything, they're not going to change me and stuff. So I was staying who I am and not let anybody change me, be who I want to be.
And who she wanted to be had nothing to do with fixing her CP, but it did have to do with fixing certain things in her life, like the isolation, the boredom, the lack of friends, the feeling that she didn't fit in. She started to get involved with a variety of youth groups. Seeing that she wasn't the only one with a disability, she became more outgoing. She stopped feeling sorry for herself. A sense of belonging is very important for one's self-esteem, and you need self-esteem to function independently and to be happy. Soon Danielle's grades started to go up, and she decided to try for college. But she was worried. She knew she had a learning disability and difficulty with academic work. In school, she had always had a teaching assistant to help tutor her. To get the help she needed, she came here to Discoverability. It's a small agency that helps young people with disabilities make the transition from high school to college, or whatever the next step might be. Counselors help people like Danielle look at their abilities and interests and their expectations and how their disability affects what they can do.
And that's not necessarily a negative. That's just something that you do in a manner that's different from the average person. That might mean you walk differently. That might mean you write in a different manner. It can mean a number of things, but we try to get them to realistically analyze what they can do, how they can do it, what would put them at a level playing field with their peers, and then try to get them to move on the next step.
Danielle discussed her concerns with Helen.
Any ideas as to where you're going, what you're going to do?
I'm not really quite sure yet, but I know I will want to work with children, but I just don't know what is out there for me to work with children or whether I'd be able to.
Danielle wanted to study childcare, but she didn't know if her disability would be an obstacle. With Helen's help, she learned how to go about negotiating for what she needed. And she learned that many colleges have a special needs office for people like her who need assistance.
Danielle learns best by listening to things. She is what we would call a verbal learner. So by giving her things in a verbal way, she can learn the same way as another student, and that in fact levels the playing field, gives her a chance to be successful.
More than anything, Danielle believed she could succeed.
I think I got through college because I was really motivated to come here, and it's been my dream ever since I was a little girl to go to college. So I think if you're really motivated and it's something you really want, then you should go for it and find out all the services that are available for you. So, and that's just what I did.
I think a number of years ago, the question of somebody with a physical disability, especially cerebral palsy, working around small children would have been a little bit frightening to some people, because they would have been afraid that either the person would hurt themselves or that they wouldn't be able to cope. We strongly believe in the philosophy that everybody has the right to try. Everybody has the right to make choices and to see if in fact they're able to succeed in a certain area. And that's all Danielle was asking for. Give me the chance to do this course. I think I can do it. Give me what I need. I'll see if I can do it. And I'll let you know.
Well, Danielle did do it. And now, the big day, her first placement. It's like an internship.
What's your spider doing?
Wants to say brain web.
I wasn't sure if I could handle it or what was required when you do the placement part. So what I told them was, let me try, and and then if I can't do it, then I'll find something else. But I really wanted to do it because it was my dream to work with kids.
She was concerned that her employers might look at the things she could not do as opposed to the things she could do.
As I got going, I found out that there are like what you call trade-offs. And for example, if I couldn't do the beds, I washed the tables and set the table for lunch and helped them in the bathroom.
There were concerns that Danielle might fall, what with the wet floors, crayons on the floor, children tearing around.
I said, if I fall, I just I stay on the floor for a couple minutes just in case anything's broken, and then I can get up again. But if I need help, I will ask. So once I told them that, then it was no problem. I feel great because I've learned to do these trade-offs and to tell people, what you do need help with, what you don't. And I also a lot of times I took the initiative to do things, so I didn't wait for them to tell me. And by them seeing that, I think it also made them feel comfortable too.
Danielle will continue to live at home for a while longer, then eventually share an apartment with a roommate.
Mom, do you know what you're doing this weekend yet?
No, maybe we go to fishing.
I'm looking forward to my future, but I'm still a little apprehensive in terms of when I apply for a job. I don't know how people are going to react to me having a disability and working with kids. But I've learned if you have a positive attitude and a positive outlook throughout life, then it doesn't really matter what other people think of you. It's what you think of yourself. So I am a little scared, but I'm also looking forward to whatever's out there for me.